Guys and gals, I was wrong about Kazuya. He isn't just pathetic. Actually, he is a pretty realistic main character that also has a lot of good qualities about him that does need to be pointed out. Okay, I can't talk like that. I can't act like this for the entire video. I gotta put on my serious face. And so, let's actually talk about Kazuya as a character, besides just saying the low-hanging fruit stuff that he's pathetic, or the simp king, a cuck, whatever. Let's actually talk about Kazuya, because I feel like, after diving into the cesspool or the abyss of Rent-A-Girlfriend since I started my journey of the series, I have noticed quite a few things within the community. Two things in exact. There's two characters that actually cause people to either drop the story or to not even begin it to begin with. And those two characters is Mami, which is the nightmare ex of Kazuya, and Kazuya, our main male character. And as I've already talked about in my Mami video I made like a week ago, I actually like her character. I like the way she is. She's a nightmare ex. I think that she's a very fascinating character by the way she's written. She's a very serious character as well. And I don't want to rehash all my opinions I made in that video, but if you want to see that, go see the separate video for that. But Kazuya as a character is constantly given a lot of flack, a lot of hate, and it's been very apparent to me that the community does not like him as an MC, and there is a lot of good reasons for that. I 100% understand why the community dislikes Kazuya as a character. I mean, once again, looking at just the low-hanging fruit stuff, he's pathetic. He's a simp lord. He's paying for a rental service for a girlfriend that will technically never really do extra things with him, so to speak. And even one day maybe he might end up with Chizuru. It's just the overall situation that he's wound up in is pretty sad. So, obviously, it makes sense why a lot of people don't like Kazuya. But I want to take a few moments to really talk about him as a character and really dive into why he is like he is, who he is as a person, and also the character development that I have seen for his character in Season 1 and Season 2. So, let's get into that. Now, to kind of clarify, this is coming from an anime only, okay? I am still not a manga reader. I've only seen basically Season 1 and Season 2 of Rent-A-Girlfriend, and I do plan on reading the manga eventually, and also watching Season 3 of Rent-A-Girlfriend. And once again, as I've said in my previous two videos, I feel like, yes, you know, Rent-A-Girlfriend is not the best series I've ever seen, but I do feel like it gets a lot more flack than it actually should. I feel like Rent-A-Girlfriend isn't as bad as people like to say it is. I do think that, you know, it's definitely has some flaws and some problems, but I don't think it's necessarily the worst thing in existence. It's just interesting the overall, I guess, infamy that Rent-A-Girlfriend has gained for itself thanks to just the characters alone, or Kazuya as an MC. So, Kazuya. He is, as a character, someone that starts off very insecure. The starting of Rent-A-Girlfriend, if we're just going back to the origin, Chapter 1 or Episode 1, whatever you want to throw to it, you know, basically, Kazuya was dumped by Mami. We find out very quickly that his ex, Mami, you know, dumped him basically for really no reason. Like, it was not like a major reason, she just basically dumped him, and because of that overall situation and how he felt about himself already and how his family feels about him, etc., it's very apparent that he feels insecure. He's a very insecure guy. He's someone that feels very bad about himself, for instance, and he doesn't think he's probably, you know, like, really great at anything, so to speak. And so because of these insecurities is what led him to even, you know, attempt a rental girlfriend, for instance, Chizuru within the story, which has led to the events of, you know, Rent-A-Girlfriend. And so I want to talk about that first. Kazuya's insecurities. So Kazuya as a character is someone that I feel is a little bit realistic, because I think everybody in some point in their life, boy or girl, has felt insecure about something. It doesn't necessarily need to be a romantic relationship or being dumped like what happened to Kazuya. It could be about anything. It could be about maybe you feel insecure about maybe being able to participate at sports. Maybe you feel insecure about maybe playing, like, let's say, a League of Legends match or so. And let's say you feel insecure about maybe being able to go on a hike. I don't know. Basically, everybody, I think, at one point or time in their life feels insecure. And I definitely know that I can relate to a lot of elements of that. I think anyone definitely can. And looking at Kazuya's origin point of how he was basically really at a low point in his life, he's a college kid, he's bound to do desperate things to be able to get rid of that insecurity. However, thanks to him, getting a rental girlfriend, Chizuru, it caused his overall insecurities to kind of grow. For instance, he felt a little bit more insecure about his overall situation in life, the fact that he basically has a fake girlfriend, and also his lingering attachments to Mommy, even though obviously she's just outright vicious to him, like she just doesn't like him, and he felt this out very clearly very early on. But it's honestly interesting that his character, despite all of these things, one big element that has remained very consistent with him is his insecurities. However, there was a moment that really is what sparked this video, actually. What really made me want to make it, and what made me actually want to talk about some of Kazuya's positives because of how it was handled, at least in the anime. Around episode 15, 16 of Rent-A-Girlfriend, there is a moment to where Chizuru is doing a play. She's basically trying to be an actress, which is her main dream, her goal in life, so to speak. And she's doing this play, and she's excellent, absolutely excellent at what she's doing. And Kazuya sneaks in, he watches this play, and he's blown away. And it's very clear by just the way the whole play went. Chizuru was the best. But thanks to circumstances with the director and nepotism and all that type of stuff, Chizuru wasn't able to get the chance at being an actress, an official actress at that moment. And so because of this, she felt very sad, down, depressed, and Kazuya has a very shocking moment. He literally confronts Chizuru about it, and he cheers her up, and he says these things that really cheers her on, that shows the overall overwhelming character that Kazuya is if he isn't necessarily insecure about something. And what I mean by that is that there is one thing that is definitely very interesting about that moment. It shows when Kazuya isn't insecure and he takes things more seriously and he has pride in something and he doesn't let those insecurities kind of shackle him down to the ground. He shines as a person. He shines as a main character. To be able to cheer on Chizuru to where she feels like she can, become an actress and he'll help her and all that. It's a very beautiful moment. It's honestly really beautiful. And it hit me. I was like, wow, this guy that is basically the Lord of Simps, a character that is literally pathetic, managed to, do something that was very mature and honestly courageous, and something that I honestly respect quite a bit. Now, once again, I don't know what direction the story is going to go after this point. For instance, if eventually he regresses a character or not. I'm just talking about this little moment in particular, and how it really shows when Kazuya isn't insecure. He is a pretty good character. He is definitely someone that overcomes a lot. And we've seen this as well when he basically dives off the boat to save Chizuru. We've seen it early on in Season 1. And I think that there's a lot of moments to where Kazuya becomes a hero. He acts like a hero. He does something that is just very different than what he normally does. And I honestly like his character for that. But we need to talk about the elephant in the room. And basically kind of why people probably don't like his character. It kept me up last night and the nights before and all that, just really taking a moment, sitting down, and thinking about Kazuya, and why people really do not like him. Yes, once again, it's probably because he's pathetic. But I was just like, why? Why would people really absolutely loathe his character to such a high degree? And upon really thinking about it, I think it's because Kazuya as a character, he's too comedic. I think that is the proper word to apply to him, and let me explain. Basically, one of his best moments in the series, as I already said, was when he inspired Chizuru not to give up on her acting career, and that he would help pay for it. And despite how maybe it sounds really off or weird that he's doing that, and he's going to be, kind of hiring her as a rental girlfriend, I don't necessarily think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think that, he's using his own money, etc. Nothing wrong with that, so to speak. But I think it's a very beautiful moment just to see him act very mature as a character, and like I said, he threw aside those insecurities, and all these other moments throughout the story, which is the main, 98% to 95% we see of him in the story, he acts very comedic and over the top, and let's get into that one. Basically, Kazuya as a character, he's obviously in a rom-com, at least that's what the tags and the genre of, Rent-A-Girlfriend is. It is a rom-com. But when I really think about all the characters, when I think about Ruka, when I think about Sumi, when I think about Mami, when I think about Chizuru, and even Kazuya, and any other character, all the other characters besides Kazuya are very serious. Like, they are legitimately very serious characters. Like, you push aside all the other stuff going on, like Kazuya's overreactions, to overall just Kazuya acting like a simp. The story is pretty mature. It is. It is trying to tell a mature story in its own way. And thinking about Kazuya as a character and how he acts very comedic or over the top in a lot of scenes, I think definitely makes a lot of people that read the story or watch, the anime, not like him, because it takes away from what is really interesting and fascinating going on, this very mature drama, so to speak, and it turns more into a comedy. And I think that is one of Kazuya's biggest flaws within the series, and why I think many people do not like him. Now, do I think that this is an element that is obviously a negative for the story? I think into a certain degree it is, but I think it plays into his insecurities. I think if there is one thing about Kazuya that has remained very consistent, is that he's insecure, and someone needs to be able to give him that push to be able to not feel that way. And obviously, with the way the story is going, Kazuya's probably push, someone to get him out of that, would be Chizuru. Now, I know the series has like 200-something chapters, so I know there's going to be something that's going to slow down the plot and all that type of stuff, mumbo-jumbo that happens in these type of manga, which is sad. But I do think that overall, Chizuru is probably going to help him beat that and become more prideful and courageous, and someone that is able to feel, I guess, happy and content with his current situation. Because there is a lot of moments to where Kazuya is interacting with Chizuru, and he's already hung out a lot with her, to where he just feels like even, talking with her, meeting up with her, is still embarrassing. Like, he acts over the top and, just acts very shy or flustered. And it's like, why is he getting like this when clearly, like, he's already interacted with Chizuru so many times and so many other people have seen him with Chizuru at this point? You would think a character that has been around someone that long would have a little bit more of a, I guess, contentment. But the fact he hasn't really built that up a lot shows what type of person he is mentally. And I think that is one of the fascinating, directions with his character, is that he's someone that just cannot get over that trauma of his past, that insecurity from his family, but also to mommy. And I like that. I think it's cool to see that. But obviously there does need to be development. It's not something that should be, stuck on and this is dragged out for, let's say, hundreds of chapters. And it probably will be. But at least from what I have seen so far, Kazuya has shown change. He has shown development. He has shown the ability to get out of that shell and actually believe in someone. And I think it's beautiful. So, overall, Kazuya as a character. Do I think he is the worst character in fiction? Do I think he is the worst character in a rom-com, so to speak? No, I don't. I legit don't. I do think that Kazuya isn't a good person. And I don't think because if the character is a bad person, I don't think necessarily they're a bad character. And I think a lot of people don't know how to kind of separate that depiction sometimes. I think that people are like, this character is a bad person, so it's a bad character. And I don't think that we should think that way. I think it's like, yeah, you could dislike them. You can say, yeah, they're a bad person, but it doesn't mean they're badly written, so to speak. And is Kazuya badly written? There is elements of him that are obviously not written well. I do think, like, for instance, the whole element of how he gets over the top and how he basically reacts in certain ways is definitely, it takes you out of the very mature aspects of the story. But then there's moments where he pulls you in. So, there is moments that are weak and strong about Kazuya, and I think that it makes a lot of sense why people do not like him. I just think that he is not the worst character in fiction. I think he probably gets a lot more flack than he should, at least from what I've seen so far. And I don't think he's necessarily, like, a character that's worth just saying, oh, I don't want to start the series because of him. Because I feel like, he's realistic. He's pretty realistic as an MC. I think a lot of people would probably act like Kazuya in real life. I'm willing to put money on that one. So, yeah, I mean, that's my 2 cents. I wanted to talk about Kazuya because I honestly felt like, after really thinking about his character, I don't think he's that bad. But obviously, my opinion will change as I continue the series. But I guess I'll leave it at that for now. Thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. It does help me out a lot. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click that bell icon down below. It does help me out a lot. And with that, Chibi out.